Welcome to the OFX podcast. I'm Dave Claxton, and along with me, as always, is the killer queen of the combine, Bethany McChesney. And we have as well one of Canada's best OCR athletes, Mik Gerylo. Mik, thanks for joining us, man. And like I said before, we're not going to interview you.
That's totally fine with me. I'm just a little disappointed you didn't have a cool little intro nickname for me before, but we can work on that.
You know what? You got to be a special shit to get an intro name. Now, Bethany gets one every time. They're always different. We're really working hard. We have to keep Lauren Weeks happy. This is the only reason she listens to the show. And so she's already shut it off. She just does for that portion and then leaves. But thanks, Lauren. We do appreciate it. So a little bit of housekeeping before we get too into stuff. I don't know if you guys saw this, but I wanted to say congrats to Sam and Jade. That got Samuel Lee Bear and Jade. They got engaged. They're having a baby. They're, congrats. And at the same time, my deepest sympathy. Both.
Which part?
What's that?
For which part of those two things?
Both. You have children and you're married. You know what I'm talking about. Mik, this might be foreign to you, but it is the greatest, most horrible thing to ever happen to you.
Okay, well, you know what? I'll take that with a grain of salt, but I'll keep a note.
Yeah, just
I'll talk to Sam and see how things go. But it was good to see that, and I think he, minus the fact that I don't speak French, so I didn't get the whole gist of his proposal. But it looked like he picked a great spot, and obviously they're having a great vacation. So unfortunately, we won't see him at the next race because of it. But that seems like a pretty good reward right there. So.
Yeah, I'm a little mad at Sam actually because he's making the rest of us look like shit. Like he really did a good number on that one. They were up in some crazy Arctic thing, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know." And he does great Instagram stories. Do you think that if the three of us really, begged him, we could get him to do Instagram stories in both English and French? Like he could double them up.
I mean, he could. He could.
Yeah. Because I love his stories.
But I don't know how it is. I think I've been around him and he can flip flop pretty quickly. So I think it's an interesting skill to have, but he definitely has it. So
yeah. I struggle enough with English. I can't do that. On the same note, the exact same congratulations to one of our favorite guys, David Magida. Same deal. It's contagious. I don't know, but awesome guys, awesome ladies. Congratulations to everybody. I just wanted to get that out of the way. And before we're really going to talk a lot about Spartan Red Deer. That's big on our thing, but I just want to know, did either of you really get a chance to watch West Virginia, to watch or check out anyway some of the coverage or what has happened? Are you familiar with how it went down?
I did watch the coverage when it came out. Last night it came out and I was sitting around, saw it popped up on YouTube and threw it on. So I watched it. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
I mean, they're getting better. They're getting better. And I told one of my friends, I said, if people that had never experienced the sport and knew I did something race-wise or whatever else, aside from it being a long video, which is nice to watch because they actually got quite a bit of coverage, it actually did capture a lot of what the race was all about, like lead changes, and you could actually kind of tell the exertion level of some of the athletes, which is always kind of a hard thing to capture sometimes, and showed a lot of the obstacles, showed a lot of the terrain, and I thought it was really good.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, they are constantly improving. When I think of the one they did for, I guess it was Utah was kind of the first one this year, wasn't it? It was nowhere near as good as this one. And I remember just watching it going, oh, this annoys me. This annoys me. This annoys me. This one was great. And I felt the whole thing, like you say, that the lead changes, especially back and forth. And I never felt like I missed anything at all.
Dave, I think this is the first time you haven't had like a little bit of an issue with some kind of live feed.
I better go.
Oh, no, it was good. It's good. Okay.
Yeah.
Hit it, Beth. You got an issue. I know it.
No, I was super impressed with the rabbits in this one. They were all over the place, and even just to be able to keep up with those athletes. But I even saw a picture of Steve Hammond in the water right beside Ryan Atkins, like actually swimming in the water beside him. That's commitment to the shot.
Steve Hammond's a beast. He's just a machine.
He loves his job. He loves the job
really and good at it.
Yeah.
He needs to stop telling people when to skip obstacles, though. That's not his job.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, and I do have an issue, and I just thought of it. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. ULFM. Where's the women?
They said Wednesday it's coming out.
Wednesday.
Yeah. And you know what? I think partially it might be from the actual team that is putting it out on YouTube. That's like, it's better for us to upload things on different days instead of just two of our biggest viewing kind of videos and content on the same day. And also I think the editing team took a lot of time, and then maybe they take a day after the race and then come back to it. I think it's, as soon as that race ends, it's crunch time for them to get something like that out. And I'm sure they're just burnt out after doing one of them. And they're like, let's just do a day after. And then maybe next race, they'll release the women's footage first. But either way, it's hopefully it'll mean that it's just better quality.
Yeah, if they get it right, I'm more than willing to wait, because this one was really good. So if they get the women the same, I'm happy about that.
Mm-hmm.
That just seemed. I don't expect it to be as an exciting a race, considering what we know. With Lindsay just obliterating the field.
Well, I think the real race, though, there was Lindsay, but then the real running after that with Alex and Rose and Annie Doobie, and that's the exciting part of the women's race.
I talked, and I mentioned this. I talked with Matt about this today, but I would like to actually get both of your opinion, because I brought it up. We've all kind of been excited about the women's field upping the ante, really kind of seeming like improving this year and being closer racing and that. But I started to think about it after this race. Has the women's field really jumped up, or is it just the fact with Becca gone and Nicole injured, and then Lindsay maybe having that one-off race at Asheville that really hasn't changed much? It's just someone had to fill those spots because Becca and Nicole aren't there. I know it's a horrible take and it's really kind of mean. It's not mean, but it's not a glowing, hey, great for everybody. But it does seem like when you have 11 minutes from first to second, that it is still a case of there's really no one to run with her.
Yeah, I think when the terrain works to her advantage, and she's actually now been able to work through like a good season of training, when Lindsay puts all that together and everything, I think even the best are going to have trouble with that. But and there's just so much distance. She does this kind of terrain better, she does this better, and she's had more experience on the obstacles and spent more time. And you make up 10 seconds here, 10 seconds there, but over 13 miles, like that's when the gap really shows, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's partially that, and like good for her for keeping that pace and keeping at it. Sometimes it's hard when you're going like that, but I'm sure she's going to have races where she's tested. But yeah, it would be good to get a few more of those girls back, like Becca and Faye and stuff like that have like that elite toolkit kind of like many different courses and also the speed. So yeah.
I think that Nicole comes back, that makes a huge difference. Becca, I mean, she's obviously saving the world, doing much more important things. But I do think, and this is like a bit lofty, I think Emma Clark will fill in that role. I think once she gets those obstacles down, she is fast enough to fill in that role.
And Annie has already proven as well she can run with Lindsay. I think I was going to say same as Mick, is this course just suited Lindsay to a T. So I think that's why there was that big gap. And a lot of the women did fail obstacles in this one. Even second, third were failing obstacles. So I think she just had a really clean race. But I don't think those other girls necessarily wouldn't have been closer if there wasn't those obstacle failures.
All right. So we will not get any Jack Bauer B team controversy here.
No.
All right. So one more thing. I know, Bethany, you heard about OCR Stars. You are a OCR Stars inaugural podium finisher. Right?
Yeah.
There you go. It's coming back. Hunter jumped on, leaked it out today. Mick, now you didn't jump in on OCR Stars last time, did you?
I didn't. I did that other virtual one just quickly when they were getting athletes to live feed against each other. Mm-hmm. Not the Canadian one, but that other one that was like all over. Like it was different athletes from all over the world. And Luca, he's living in Colorado now, but he was putting it on.
That was pretty good. It was one-on-one.
It was great. Yeah. And so he would like choose two people and the workout, and then you would meet live and people could watch the workout kind of as you two competed against each other, and then you could move on and stuff like that. So I did that. It was fun. I mean, at the time, that's when all the virtual challenges were going on, and yeah, it was good.
Well, if you want a new Jeep, you should do OCR Stars, because that's the prize in the way is a new Jeep, and obviously cash as well. There's a few different things. This time, individual winners for events won't be getting prize money for each event, so you can't get the ringers coming in. So tell Lanny she's gonna have to earn it this time.
Yeah, I had my friend who's an Olympic runner jump in for some of the long stuff, and she won the 10K. But she did go to the Olympics for the 10K. So because there was prize money for each event, so I'm like, hey Lanny, want $1,000?
Yeah, it's probably some of the most money she's won as a road runner. Like really.
Well, it's not
happy.
But right now,
yeah. So OCR Stars, November 1st, I think he said, is the start date. Signups are open. It's like $40. So you know what? Even $40 in an entry, because the Jeep thing is random. Everybody who enters gets a random draw on it. So everybody that's as slow as me gets it, and everybody that's as fast as you two gets the same chance. So it's good. $40 is worth it for a ticket.
Yeah.
What was the other thing? Last week, I think it was last week or the week before, recently, we kind of complained a little bit about information coming from Mud Hero.
Yes.
I finally managed to have a chat with them. Not on here. It's not videoed. It will not be coming out. They may be doing something in the future, maybe with us, maybe just on their Instagram. I'm really pushing them to just get out there and talk to the people they want to know. Few questions that we did get answered. Yes, on the 25th of September, their permanent course will be open at Duntroon. They are taking registrations. It's going to happen. It's all set. It's cleared with the government, with everything like that. Before that, they had set up a series for every weekend in September, and then that just kind of went away, disappeared. They said that it was due to a bit of a manpower issue and maybe just being a little over ambitious right at the start there, and so they had to take a step back. Understandable, makes sense. Everybody who signed up for that is welcome to defer to any of the other races that they hold this year or next. And now, I mean, this isn't official, but he did say that they were offered a refund. Haven't seen that in writing, but he said that they were offered a refund. Other people can tell me that because I hadn't signed up. So other than that, that's pretty much all they had. They are planning to be full bore next year and do some really big races at that site, and hopefully some more competitive races as well. So not just your average Mud Hero fun run.
That's the only OCR we have here in Manitoba. So yeah, they always have a date release, but again, it was kind of like set, and you kept checking, and then eventually they called it off. But yeah, hopefully they're back.
You can't come down too hard on these companies. I mean, they're at the victim of governments and restrictions, and they keep pulling the plug, and they're trying. I mean, they want to hold events. They want to make money.
Of course.
You know, so they're feeling the pinch as much as everybody. And speaking of cancellations, Spartan canceled Quebec today. The emails went out. The official announcement will come tomorrow. I did reach out to Spartan. They answered back and said, yeah, that's unfortunately the case due to restrictions. So obviously the immediate questions are, how's Red Deer? Are we still good? And how's Blue Mountain? Word from Spartan is an official word. They said I could yip about it if I want, because nobody really listens to us anyway. So it is, Red Deer is still a go. The boots are on the ground. Everything's good. Everything's great. Blue Mountain, as far as they are aware, as far as they're concerned, all the rules are still in place. They are abiding by all the guidelines. They have received no word saying that anything's different. So from their perspective, they're still full speed ahead. Now, we know everything can change in a heartbeat, but right now they're full speed ahead. They're expecting to have the race, and they are getting ready to set up there. So that's what I got.
That's good. It's reassuring.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they said, that, you know, hopefully it is reassuring. Hopefully it does happen. I'm not worried about red deer, right? Alberta's open. You know, the Cowboys are ready to rock. They're good. They get the hats on, the masks off. They're all good.
Listen, the venue is at a horse ranch, so
exactly. I'm hoping to borrow a horse so we can get some really good rabbiting done that way. That's what I want to do. But blue, I'll be honest, blue scares me. It really does.
That's a little ways away.
It's a ways away. Things are not trending, I hate to use that word, in the right direction as far as cases. Kids are going back to school, and we all know that means, you know, the little germ magnets are going to spread it everywhere. I don't know. I'm scared.
So that means we got to get red deer. We got to go do red deer just in case it's the only one.
That's right. So let's talk red deer.
Yeah.
All right. First off, you know a little about the course, right? This is a very familiar course for you.
I've done it quite a bit. I mean, they've never had a beast there, and that's probably a, you know, from previous years, that's probably a good reason why, because of the size of the venue. But they've always had a sprint and a super there, and I've done it over 3-4 years, I think. So yeah, I've ran those trails and around there quite a bit.
And what would the general layout be like? The terrain?
So I would say you're running like a combination of kind of like really fun, windy single track. And the course is built on like almost like a 2-level system. So there's a high level and a low level. And there is a very steep kind of like shoot down to the lower level. But again, it would be like, there's no trails that go down it. It's almost like just woods. So every once in a while, they'll put us through that. But for the most part, it's straight, flat-ish single track, or kind of like running along a river, or you're on gravel paths, or running through horse fields.
So you say running along the river, knowing Spartan, is there a good chance you're going to be running in the river, or is this like a deep river?
So there's two rivers. There's a feeder, which they usually put you through, which at its deepest point, I would say it's just over like 6 feet deep, maybe. So usually you just jump in, take a couple paddles, and then you're back out. It's not like an actual swim, but it definitely breaks your rhythm and kind of gets you completely wet, and then you come out. So depending on the weather on the day, and what's after it and whatever, it does kind of pose like a, you know, something to consider in terms of gear and everything. And then there is another river, but I think it's too fast to safely just send people through. 1 year there, they had a sandbag carry where you actually went down and kind of went knee deep through the edge of it and brought you back up. But they haven't done that in a few years. So not sure if that's off limits or not, but some options for some water for sure.
No Tyrolean traverses across the river though, because that's what I would like to see. That
you know what, that I guess they could do it on the small river. They could. It would be pretty cool. It's what they used to have, right?
I remember they had that at Shale Hill, but it was like 100 meters long. It was crazy.
Yeah. And then even if you complete the obstacle, you're still falling in the water. So I don't think there's the option for that, but it's a good thing to kind of, especially like usually this race is held in July or anything like that. It's usually like really, really warm. So that water's almost nice on like a super course to just get you wet and get you back out. So that's what I would say. And then a few other things to note about red deer is there's kind of like the horse stables. So they I think they evacuate all the horses and everything before. Like the venue doesn't really have what it looks like on a regular day to day. I think the people that own it kind of take all the animals and everything out, but you still have a lot of those like 2-tier fences all around the area. So you're getting a lot of like natural walls and fences to jump over or go under without them having to put anything up. There's a lot of like breaking rhythm, kind of vaulting things and stuff like that, like throughout it. So just another thing to get used to. And then running in grass, like there are some open fields, obviously, where they send the horses out, and to add in some extra distance, especially on the super, they'll for sure bring you way out there and bring you back. And it's almost just to put in a few extra, kilometers.
And if it's in horse fields, that means it's going to be ruddy. It's going to be full of holes. You're going to have to dodge horse shit, stuff like that.
Yeah.
No, but in all seriousness, running in fields like that is really tricky. Like it's as technical as running on rocky terrain, because you can't see all the ruts and all the potholes and stuff from the horses and whatnot.
And you know what? Like, I think the first few people that go through it, it's extremely hard because there's not even they haven't even pushed down the grass yet. But after 20 people have gone through, people start taking the same route, and eventually it turns into some kind of thing. But yeah, there are dips and everything like that. So I think it's a good idea to practice some like speed work and rhythm running on kind of like in open fields and stuff, like not just pure pavement or anything like that, obviously, but it's not necessarily technical. So it's almost just trying to keep your rhythm going while you're a bit broken, and you need to raise your knees up a bit more because the grass is pretty high sometimes.
So this should also be the first time we have the full assortment of Spartan obstacles.
Yeah.
And Beth, I'll ask you, how do you think that's going to affect? Do you think it'll throw much of a wrench into it? Because before we didn't really have, especially like we were missing, I guess what Spartan would call its technical obstacles, twister, the 8-foot box, beater, all that stuff. We were missing that. Do you think and especially it usually affects the women's side more. Do you think the Canadian women maybe haven't had a chance to get down and do those ones in the States? Do you think it's going to affect them very much, or do you think it should be still par for the course?
Well, I think like the top women right now, all of them, as far as I know, have raced in the States. So I don't think it will be much of, it's not going to be throwing a wrench in because all of them have seen these obstacles before.
Yeah. So, I mean, stuff like especially I see that 8-foot box.
The 8-foot, it all depends on how long they leave the rope. So I saw in West Virginia, the rope was long and there was a knot on the bottom. That's fine. West Virginia last year, the rope was only about 2 feet long, and that changes things quite a bit.
Yeah. Have you ever hit that one? Because I don't know if you got a chance to.
Yeah, I've done it a few times.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not a secret, you're not very tall. Did you have to come up with a bit of a different strategy for it?
Yeah, it wasn't easy for me, but I got it eventually. You have to practice doing like legless rope climbs. So if you can do that, and then as long as you can get up to the top, there's a bar on the top that the rope is attached. If you can grab that bar, then you're golden, and then you fling your legs up. However, it doesn't look pretty, but I get the job done.
Burpees look worse.
I think the trick is a lot of people try to grab the edge of the top of the shelf, and there's nothing really to grab there, but a foot further is the bar that Bethany was saying, and that's what you have to kind of grab. So it's almost like getting yourself high enough so you can reach an arm onto the shelf, and then you can grab it, and then you can pull yourself up.
Yeah.
For me, being a short dude and not being able to jump whatsoever, I would think that I would approach it like I would try to get as high as on the rope as I can without grabbing the top of the box for a grip, lock my feet in like I would on a regular rope climb, stand up and go over that way. I don't know if
it's good. Yeah. Get yourself up, lock your feet in, and then reach for it. I'm not short, but that's kind of what you got to do. You just got to get yourself to like your shoulders to the edge of it. Yeah.
So I don't know what Killian's problem is. I don't know why he struggles with it so much. Get in there, man. Hey, did you, speaking of it, just a quick jump back. When you watched the race and you saw the heavy sandbag on the hoist, was that not great? I love that.
It was great. Yeah. I mean, you really saw it. The guys were full leaning back, pushing with their legs. And, guys that are like 150 pounds, it wasn't moving. So you either just were able to like use a bit of momentum and really use your pull strength if you got like a good kind of brace system for it. But you need to be able to brace it when it's that heavy because you can't use your body weight. So I'm not sure if they're going to have the same hoists as they've had in Canada on previous years, or if they're going to have like the new ones like that. But either way, we saw that, if it rains, they're heavier. And if it doesn't, they usually don't give many people an issue. Obviously, some guys can still do it quicker, which is great to kind of differentiate, strengths, but no one fails it.
I want it to be heavy all the time. I don't want to have to rely on it. I just want them to up the rate, put like lead shot in it or rubber pellets, like rec bags. I want it heavy all the time.
Yeah.
That made it real. That was decent. It's just like we talk about, Beth, like up in the female tire flip to something that is legitimate.
Right. Yeah. So I've got a little inside scoop, and there will not be a tire in Red Deer. So just so people, anyways, it was one of those things where, obviously they got all the new obstacles and all the standardized ones and everything, but I think something with Yokohama and also just like getting all of those tires directly sent and then travel across Canada and back and forth and everything. So they will have it. It's not like off the table. It's just this season that was not really an option for them. So and they've tried having tires in previous years, and they've been kind of random in terms of like, they haven't all been like a certain one. So that's, it's better if they can't have it all consistent, then, make the buckets heavy or something.
And you know what? That's the right call to make. If you can't be standard through the obstacles, don't have it. It's
totally.
Yeah. And
but just so people know, they're not going to be, they don't have to dread it before the race or anything. It's hard to watch that West Virginia race and not think as a racer at all, just to think a little bit about it, as something that could decide a race.
So everybody can stop doing deadlifts.
Yeah.
You know what? Before people get mad at Spartan or get upset at Spartan Canada for not bringing it, and here you go, this little past. I used to work in a tire shop for a long time, doing tires on everything from transports and farm equipment and all that stuff. Those tires I use from Yokohama, yes, they're 400 pounds, which means they're a bugger to ship and move and transport around. That adds cost. The sheer cost of those tires alone is massive. And that would all of a sudden become by far and away the most expensive obstacle Spartan has. I mean, we're talking like you have to have at least probably 10 of them. Is it generally in the field?
Probably, yeah.
Somewhere in that neck of the woods. I'm wagering that obstacle would be in the neighborhood of $15,000 just for the men's tires, and then the women's would not be far behind.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if they had to choose between having two, like getting Twister and New Olympus or whatever, beater or anything like that, like obviously you want a few more. And those obstacles are pretty cool to have in the festival area and, things people see. So I think it's totally fine.
Yeah.
But just so people aren't stressing over it, it's good to know.
All right. So let's go through a little bit of who's going to be there, who's not, because as like any race going on right now, we're not getting everybody.
And good job on your research, by the way. I was when we were sending a message back and forth, I talked to a few people, but I think 2 months ago this list would have been completely different.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people thought they were probably going. And then, obviously just different things happen to different people, and then just things happen and things change. So I was under the impression it was going to be a pretty deep field in terms of like athletes from out east and west coming, both male and female. And unfortunately, a few people just life's happened, or they've chosen not to come, and that's totally fine. But it's always fun when everyone makes it out, right?
Yeah. And one thing about some of the people that, and we didn't really take this into account, is people coming up from the States. Yes, it can still happen. Alberta they're able to travel, and same, so we could have a few there. But I mean, I did reach out to some of the people who normally you would think about that, like a Forrest Bogue or something like that. And honestly, I didn't find a single American that I know that's coming across. So I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying I have not got any confirmation on that. I think we'll start with some of the women that we won't be seeing. First off, an easy one is Morgan Mckay.
Bethany.
That was a surprise. Yeah.
Sorry, I saw a post like 5 seconds ago before I came on here.
Yeah,
I saw something. I'll let her explain it. But
Bethany, you know what? Just talk, Bethany. Do it.
I'm sorry. You can kick me off. I've ruined.
Just sit here and drink.
Yeah, I was really excited to race this one. The course suits me. But anyways, I've been struggling with an Achilles issue it's been over a year now, and it's just been on and off. And just so many different opinions that just kind of threw me in all these different directions. Nothing seemed to work. So I had imaging last week to see what are my chances of racing in a few weeks. And it was a pretty big fat no. So the Achilles has continued to get worse. So anyways, they put me in a boot for a few weeks because that's kind of where we're at now. So I am not racing, but I will be there cheering.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I'm still going. My flights are booked. And again, if this is the only race that happens, at least I can be there. But yeah, I'm still going to go anyways and cheer people on.
Awesome. Well, the one good thing about Red Deer is you can kind of jog around the venue and catch quite a bit of the race if you understand how the course goes. You're not just because there are walking paths and actually wider asphalt kind of biking paths through the whole forest and everything. So there's a lot of places that you can kind of get to different areas and see more of the separate gauntlets of obstacles and everything. So it should be a good venue to actually come watch.
That's cool.
Unfortunately, you're not racing though.
I know. I'll be the one crying at the finish line after not racing.
Yeah.
And on the same note, we will both be there. We're going to try to do as many stories as possible. If the signal is
awesome,
good enough, we'll try to do some live streaming. We're not going to be able to do full coverage. We don't have the manpower. Bethany is too slow right now. So, but we're going to do our best to at least get some information out there, which usually for the Canadian series does not happen. So we're going to do our best to do what we can. And it'll be fun. And we may even get a little early preview of the map. So we'll be able to scout out how we can do it. And we can be bought, just so you know, quite cheaply too.
Send that out there. Yeah, that's good. I didn't know you were coming either. So I thought you were both, unfortunately, not coming to Red Deer. So that's great.
No,
and are you gonna race? Do we have to add you to the men to watch?
Well, it wouldn't be fair to them. And since the tire flip is out and that was going to be my big deal, I'm going to back off on this one maybe and save it for the next one. We might do we're going to hopefully do a little media funsy lap and jump on some obstacles, play and take some more videos and have some good time. That's awesome. Our main goal.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the venue
celebrating at the finish line an hour before the rest of you.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about Red Deer is the distances are over pretty quickly. All things considered, they're always a fast race. Not that much climbing. So everyone will be in and out pretty quick.
So one of the other obvious women that we're going to, as I was saying, Morgan Mckay, she is pregnant. Congratulations, Morgan, officially. Everybody's needing congratulations today. So she's going to Emma Cook-Clark will be there, but she will not be racing in the series race as she has a 24-hour work shift prior to it. And her focus is still actually on getting better. I think she's hopefully going to be doing a fun lap later on to practice on some of the obstacles, which is really
I think she said she's going to do the sprint and the beast on Sunday for fun.
It doesn't sound fun.
Yeah, that's too bad though. It would have been cool to see both of them come and race that as well.
Sylvie as well. She will not be making it for this one. She should be there for Blue, provided Blue happens. And Lindsay Webster will not be making it. I didn't really push as to an official reason why. My only assumption is really the logistics of travel, and it is so close to OCRWC, and I know that that's very high on their priority list. So
I'm assuming they'll be staying in the States.
Yeah. I assume so. It's just a lot of stuff. Wait a minute. And sorry, I forgot she did mention one. She also has a wedding.
Oh,
I forgot that. So she's got a wedding, lots of travel. It's just not going to happen. So guess what that means for Ryan? Yeah, he's not going to be there either.
oh.
So no Ryan, as we mentioned already, no Samuel Libert. He's busy getting married, having children, and touring the North. I think he's panning for gold, actually.
I think that was part of his thing. He was, it was smart.
Jesse Bruce will not be making it. So, they'll be missed. Those are some really good racers, sadly, but we still have really good racers going. Big names for the women. We have Ariel Fitzgerald, Amanda Nadeau, and Jessica Lemon, as far as Spartan team members. Some of the names for the men is some guy named Mik Gerylo, Christian, little help. Mcslavic. Thank you. I can't. Sean Stevens Whale would be some of the brighter names. I did also receive, and he loves that I say his name this way, Sean Philipto will be as well. He knows I can't say his name properly. I can't say anybody's last name right, but
and Austin.
He's exciting. He's excited to go. I just spoke with him today. So I'm going to do it, and I'll start with you, Bethany, since we're right here. Do some picks here. We're going to lay it out there who we think, and this is good because you're not involved here, so you can actually wait a minute before we do that. Sorry, Mick, you said you might have some dark horse information.
I wouldn't say information. I said
names.
I maybe have a few names that people aren't necessarily thinking about, but I've raced against them or know them well enough that if they do show up, they will be contenders or are in the mix, right? And now with some of those top guys like Jesse and Sam, and those guys are fighting for first place, right? Mm-hmm. And that's always kind of been something at Spartan, but there's always a battle between let's say that third to eighth place of all these guys who are just really good athletes, really fit, train hard. They're not going to show up and beat an Atkins, but guys that are always in the mix, and if they show up, they're definitely kind of people to watch. I can't say as much for the women because I haven't raced against them personally. So, and I think you listed a really good list there, but I think if I know Sean Stevens Wales, so his friend Chris, who also was on the Canadian mountain running team and a really, really good runner. So he's coming down with him. So Chris will be in the mix, I'm assuming, unless he's just coming to train and follow along. But he's a super talented runner, and I've raced against him in Vancouver when they had the race out there, and he was right in the mix till he failed something. But he's had enough experience now, so I think he's raced 2 or 3 Spartan races. He's more of a trail runner, put up some really good times. So he's going to be someone to watch. He'll be one of those guys up by front. And if I remember correctly, he has pretty sweet hair. So he'll be, you'll be able to tell who he is, I think. And he's just super fast. And then Jeff Craw, who beat me in Kimberley in the Beast 2 years ago. So Jeff Craw's won some of the biggest trail races out west. And if you guys know, his brother is actually a sponsored trail runner. Now I can't think of his name, but anyways, Jeff's an older guy. Like he's not in his like early 30s, but he holds some FKTs out west still that are like beating all the respectable mountain runners, in and around Canmore area and stuff like that. So he's a legit guy, and when he shows up, he can outrun anyone. And so if he shows up, he's a really quiet guy, so you never know. But he's came to Red Deer before, and like I said, we had a good battle in Kimberley, and he got me on the last climb, and I didn't see him after that. So if he shows up, I'm happy to race him again. And then Bethany did mention Austin.
Yeah.
So Austin Azar will be coming back. I talked to him today, so he's excited for that, and he's always someone in the mix. So, and I think the last name I would mention would be Mo Cedric, or his last name starts with a C. He's from out east. Really quick guy, races quite a bit out like in the Quebec scene and everything. So if he shows up, he'll do really well too. So a couple other names to be in the lookout for.
Wow, that's good. Those trail guys are scary.
Yeah. Oh, listen, it's like you hope they actually set up some tough obstacles, because you're running with these guys and you're like, okay, they're totally in their element. And so yeah, if they and the thing is all of them now have experience with Spartan. So all it would take is a little bit more preparation, and they've got the running to compete with anyone. So
do you think Spartan will have, now I'm off on tangent. Do you think Spartan will have to up the obstacle game and stuff to essentially not have it become just a trail runners takeover kind of deal?
In Red Deer?
Not in Red Deer, but overall.
Okay. I think so. I think now they have a few more obstacles to kind of put together in good places. Sometimes in a beast previously, when we didn't have these obstacles, it felt a lot more like running, and then there was the odd thing. But I think they'll come out more often now in terms of like breaking up your running rhythm and stuff. So, and there's a few more that you can fail.
Yeah, and the heavy stuff seems to be a little more of a thing, like the heavy sandbag carries, the bucket carry, like
definitely. Yeah.
That should hopefully slow those guys down a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
All right, so Beth, we'll start with you. Who do you got for your picks? You can start third. Yeah.
For the men
or women, whatever you like.
Oh, okay. All right. So the women, there really wasn't a long list because there's so many women that are missing here. I am going to put Ariel winning this one. She seems to be really fit right now. She went down, she raced in the States, had a good performance there, kind of dusted off there. You kind of need that first rust buster. So she's had that now. And out of the other women that are there, she is the only one that has raced already this season. So I'm going to have her first. And then Jess Lemon, I'm going to put second, and then Amanda Nadeau third. I think Amanda, it seems like she's focusing a little bit more on her job right now and been more strength building and stuff with the firefighting that she's been doing. And so that's the only reason that I have her third. But those two women, I haven't seen them racing in the last year that I know. So it's really tough to say. It's just who's been training more for this and who's been kind of focusing on something else.
Yeah. Honestly, I can't argue with you. It's like you say, it seems that way too. I think it is Ariel's to win. Jessica, just from communicating with her, she's just seems to have that killer instinct attitude. Like she wants to win. She wants to push hard. So that's why, again, that's why I would give her the edge over to Amanda right now, is like you say, just mindset over anything. I don't really know what her training's been like, but yeah, I would agree with you totally. Mick, do you have anything different, or you?
I mean, just insight. Like obviously, Ariel is a super good runner, and she's put in a lot of training over the winter, and now I think being on the dream team and everything, she has a little bit more support system with her as well, which is kind of nice, giving her a little more confidence and stuff like that. So I think she'll do really well. And then, but Jess definitely has been training hard, and she might not show the hard workouts she does, and she goes and does big mountain days and everything, but you know, she's pretty focused and consistently trains all the time. So she'll show up ready, which will be nice to see. You know, you never know who's gonna, you know, who could fail things, but they're both pretty strong on obstacles. So and then Amanda was, you know, she was dominating. She was doing really well, you know, 2 seasons ago when she was doing the US series and the mountain series and everything. But like Bethany said, she is definitely like more focused on work now and a little less on training specifically for Spartan, I think. So I actually didn't know if she was coming or not. So, but I think either way she shows up and she'll do well. So
I think the one thing about all 3 of these women, and you could put it like the way we pick them is pretty much provided you're assuming clean race. So really all it takes, like you said, Mick, is one failed obstacle and all of a sudden everything can change.
Right.
And yeah, it's not out of the realm of possibility, especially if weather turns.
Totally.
So it'll be,
and it can be a really muddy course if it does rain. Plus, obviously, you're running through not just like horse pastures, but you're also running through horse pens. So that is just dirt, right? So if it's wet and muddy, it'll be a really mucky course for sure.
So you got to put a plastic bag on that boot.
Yeah.
We'll build you like a little like half ski, and you can kind of like slide around on it. You should get one of those like scooters. Have you seen those scooters?
Yeah,
you can, like put your knee up ones with the boot. Yeah, and then you can just rip around on that all day.
Yeah, I've seen those.
I think Spartan should give us a side-by-side. I mean, it's only logical. They're not.
You totally could. You guys should try and like rent bikes or something.
That would make much more sense for me.
It would. Mm-hmm. So it does.
Good picks though.
Yeah, it is a bit of a shame because we do think about, even if we just list those 4 or 5 women that we said are not coming, and just all of a sudden what a deep race that becomes, and just it's disappointing. I'm gonna blame Beth.
Yeah, it would be nice, and you, like you said, you never know who's going to show up, and especially because we haven't had races here in Canada. So number one, you could get some of those elite trail runners that haven't traveled and whatever else, and they're like, hey, I want to try a Spartan, or my friend told me about a Spartan or whatever, and brings them out, and all of a sudden they're like Emma in Asheville and just take it out, and you know, they're in the mix, and if they don't fail anything or they make some mistakes, but it still adds someone into the mix. And I think it makes things really interesting if there's a battle for more than top 3, right? Mm-hmm. There's a difference between if the 3 girls here go out and then the gap is like 2 minutes after it. And it's kind of like, you know, they'll still all fight for first, but you know you're in a podium spot. It's when you add that 4th and 5th that people start taking risks and making moves and stuff like that, right? So should be interesting.
So jump to the men.
Mm-hmm.
And so Mick, I'm going to give you the option here, okay? So you can pick these based on having you included, or you can exclude you from the list and go from there. You just play with it however you like.
Well, I'm not going to explain why I'm going to win a race or why I should be at it.
Exactly.
But I mean, all things considered, I'm excited to race here, and I think I can do well here, even, you know, with what I've been dealing with and everything. I think I'm coming in and in like a decent fitness. So I'm excited about it, and people can make their predictions based on whatever they want to base it on. But if I had to pick top 3 in a super, now let's say Jeff shows up and Jeff's there, and I've had some really good, what people don't realize is I've had some really good races against Sean Stevens Wales, and he doesn't get as much credit as he deserves. He's, you know, the guy was top 10 in, you know, Red Bull 400, you know, world championships, and he just set an FKT on Skyline, which is up in Jasper, and I've done that route, and the top time he beat it by like a pretty substantial mark, and that was very recently. So and I know the fitness I was in when I ran it, and the time I got, and so knowing that and comparing what Sean did to it, it's pretty scary to think hit the fitness he's in right now. So I'm gonna say Sean's, and he has experience already. He's raced this year. He did a lot of the US National Series last year or the year before. Like, he jumped into a bunch of them. So he's been around really good competition. And I think if you're racing against the best guys out there, you're just going to get better, even if you're not getting first place. So I'm going to say Sean, and then Jeff Craw if he shows up, and then I want to say Christian Mcslavic because he's always consistently up there and he never runs like a poor race. And his kid's old enough now; he's getting sleep. His little Ronan's a little older now, but I think I gotta call Austin as third there. I think the move, he was a little off for a while because he moved out east, but he got in some really good training with some of the guys out there, and he'll turn himself inside out no matter what fitness he's in, and any carries, he'll just eat people up. So yeah, I'm gonna throw Austin in third place there. That's my thing. And then Christian Mcslavic and Chris, Sean's friend Chris, whatever his last name is.
Yeah.
Coming in the close fourth, fifth kind of thing.
All right, Beth, you got anything different?
Well, I didn't leave Mick out of mine, but
Good call.
Yeah. So, mine were very similar though. So I did say Sean for the win. He has been running really well. And he had a top 10 finish in Utah. So, and again, that rust buster helps to have a race under your belt in the season. And then I put you Mick for second, and then Christian for third.
You see that? Not even kissing ass. Didn't put Mick for first. That's fantastic.
She changed it last minute.
She did. She's like, oh yeah, that guy's coming off an injury.
No, I didn't. I wrote it here.
Oh, nice.
Bethany's the only one of us that actually prepares for this.
I mean, I have a little green.
It's on like an M pad. Me, I actually.
You're putting yourself first?
No,
I thought we went over this.
I would exactly, but I've got a tweak in my hammy and shit like that. Anyway, I actually have Mick for the win. There you go. I am going to suck up, and let's just call it really, really closely followed by Sean Stevens Whale. If this race was in the mountains, I would probably have switched that around, but due to Mick's familiarity with this area, this course, and that kind of was the swing vote for me. And then in third, I am going with Christian Mcslavic because, one, I think he's a great athlete. He's a great guy. I love Austin too. Austin's absolutely amazing. But I owe him great apologies for never getting his name right. And so he's got to come third.
And you'll be able to say his name now. And
then I'll be able to say his name. If I do interview you at the finish line, I will probably have my wife beside me so that I can say Christian and she can say your last name.
You know what? You almost need to hear what his last name is before you see it written. And then it's not an issue.
I don't think whoever started his last name knew how to spell it correctly.
Totally.
Yeah, it looks like White Claw. I don't know. It's not just me. It's horrible.
I will spell it phonetically for you, Dave, and then you can practice it on the flight over.
Awesome.
That's good. Yeah, it'll be exciting. You should ask Spartan Canada if you guys can do some takeovers for them and show some of the course previews for people and stuff. I think people enjoyed that when they did that. I don't know when you guys are heading out there, but it was kind of exciting when they had the build crew kind of showing things going up and showing different areas. But a few, let me know, but I have a few other notes on the actual course that I think people could anticipate. But we'll keep talking about these picks.
Well, I think we got we did the picks. We got the picks done.
Okay.
Well, you go ahead, man. You lay it out there.
Well, I think people, if they do the route, they're going to change it a little bit, because last year it was basically you run across, it was like 100-meter sprint, jump over a horse fence, and you go straight into single track. And it was just like a grade 4 cross country meet right out of the gate. Everyone was just going crazy for that. It was like a tiny hole in the forest, and everyone's running towards it, because as soon as you got in there, you couldn't really pass people. So they're not going to make that mistake again. Like, I know it was on Johnny's radar and everything. So the layout will probably be a little different. They'll probably move us through some wider track first, or some like open bushwhack kind of instead, or just kind of take you out the backside. But there is a large set of stairs coming up from the river that they usually hit you the last mile of the race, and it is bringing you back into the festival area. So it for sure is going to be in the course. And I would say, I don't know, it's at least 50 stairs. And they're just straight up. So again, it's one of those things where, especially in a 10K, you've been running for that long, and then all of a sudden you need to go into this, like, you have to run it at that point, and you're skipping and you're jumping, but like those stairs you kind of have to manage it. And if you go too hard on those, then the final, quarter mile sucks so much. So I think people need to anticipate the stairs taking them, you're not going to do them in under 30 seconds. So your legs are accumulating quite a bit over that time if you're going at whatever hard pace you're going at. So just manage just when you hit the stairs, know that the stairs aren't done in 10 seconds. It's a little bit of an effort, and you're going to feel a little like trash when you get to the top. And that's the worst thing, because there's always people standing at the top of the stairs cheering you, and you want to be like running, you're almost finished, and you have nothing left after the stairs. So it depends what they put after the stairs, but just be wary that like it is an energy suck. But when you see the stairs, you're coming back towards the festival area. So potentially you're getting close to the finish. And then I think it's, making sure like, what shoes you're wearing, they're going to get wet no matter what. They usually put the rolling mud close to the festival area as well. So it's not like a dunk wall at the end. It's usually rolling mud into a dunk wall kind of, after a mile in kind of thing. So be prepared for that. It's been like that for a few years. So a few things like that, just for people to think about in terms of gear, in terms of like how the race could play out and stuff like that. And then, like I said, there's 2 levels. So when you get onto the open horse fields, and then you come back into the single track by the river, then when you come up the stairs, then you're coming near the end again. So there's a lot of good little checkpoints. And for your warm-ups, you can kind of see quite a bit of the course, because like I said, there are those like big walking paths that kind of go around the whole venue. And they're not really off limits to public, right? Like we've been running through the race, and there's a part where it like cuts over it or whatever, and there's just people walking their dog or whatever. So you can kind of check out the course off course pretty well at this venue. So if you go the day before to go jog around or whatever else. Yeah.
So I have a couple questions about your stairs. One, are these like man-made stairs, proper stairs, or is this like a trail stair?
They used to be like railway ties kind of dug into the ground, and they were pretty nice. And there's like a thick wooden railing on one side, and now they've redone them. So they're more like, metal strapped on the edges, and they're built, and they're quite thin now in terms of like landing. So it's not really the same anymore. It's more like regular stairs.
Okay. And then how wide is this? So, I mean, can you pass going up these stairs?
You can, yeah, yeah. I'd say for sure 2 wide, even like three wide. Like they're, yeah, you got enough room to pass. It's good to know.
So interesting stuff. Now I think about the way you said, like that grade 4 cross country meet, everybody bust out of the gate. But I mean, we see that a lot in OCR races. That's just, it seems to be the only running race where it's like, don't conserve, go out really, really fast.
Yeah.
It just is. Now, if I was designing a course, and like you said, I would, you obviously you don't want that single path right away because that does kill it. But I would, like, Spartan doesn't do this ever. Get you guys go, maybe even run 100 meters and then throw a heavy carry at you right away.
So the thing about doing that is all of a sudden nothing matters before it, because you're ultimately the pace of the slower people in the front. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe if you're lucky to get in, but they have thrown carries in. I think they've noticed at races, if they do that though, it just like that swim in Jacksonville where everyone blitzed out of the gate, and then 3/4 of a mile in, they go into the water, and all of a sudden everyone's back in a pack.
Yeah.
So, and plus it might be a numbers thing too, where you don't want to risk like a whole heat going into a carry within like 5 minutes. Kind of thing.
My idea is shit. Just say it. That's fine. I got it. I have another one.
You just want more carries, Dave.
I have another
Your solution
idea.
is always throw carries.
More power, right?
Yes.
I have another one though. At the top of your stairs, I would throw like Stairway to Sparta, just to add a little more elevation.
You wouldn't be able to jump to it, honestly. It is like
perfect.
No matter, it is the most painful thing, but like guys are coming behind you, and it's kind of like, that feeling where you can hear the festival area, like you start to hear the music, and the day's warming up a bit potentially because you started early and now it's getting warmer. You get to the top of these stairs and everyone's like, good job, or they can see you as you're coming up and you're dying, and they're just like, you're doing great. And then you get to the top and you got to tell your legs to start running again because it's back on flat and they don't want to do it. So there are some really fun single track, and they've done carries through some of the fun kind of terrain where you're like stepping over fallen logs, and that venue also does have quite a bit of like dense forest that, depending on weather and what storms were around, like there can be a lot of kind of trees to jump over on the single track. So that's both fun and just adds another natural obstacle.
So I had one good idea and one shit idea. That's 50%, and that's a pass. I'll take it. Mick, any final thoughts at all about Red Deer?
No, I'm happy I'm excited to see everybody. I feel like it'll be good for everyone to kind of come together and be at a race again and just be in the atmosphere. And I think we're all happy for Spartan Canada that they're actually able to get a race going. That's like, beyond everything that's out of their power.
And if you're on the fence about going to both races, think about the fact that Spartan is paying how many deep this time, Bethany, for the series?
10 deep.
10 deep.
Yeah.
You go to both races and you're a decent runner, you have a good shot. So keep that in mind if you're on the fence about doing both, or maybe jumping in on one. Maybe let that help you make your decision. Beth, any final thoughts from you?
No, I'm with Mick here. I'm just pretty pumped to have a race coming up. So I think our community here needs that.
Awesome. I think that's perfect way to end it. Mick, thanks for joining us, buddy. We really appreciate it.
See you guys in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.